Ah, the time has come. Castlevania has finally been released on Netflix in all of its 4-episode glory. Now, a few weeks ago, I released a video analyzing the show's trailer. We tried to dissect all the characters, events, and scenes that were previewed. And today, I'd like to continue that discussion by reviewing the episodes as I see them. Starting, of course, with Episode 1, WitchBottle. Warning, this will contain spoilers. Wallachia, 1455. Right away, we are shown the victims of Dracula. Countless skeletons impaled on spikes just outside his castle. A flock of bats fly across the skies, threatening to blot out the sun itself, when suddenly a knife bursts through the backside of one of these flying rodents. The owner of a knife is that of a young woman named Lisa. She has journeyed to Dracula's castle in search of aid, for she wishes to be a doctor and is seeking Dracula's vast knowledge to make great strides in the field of science. Dracula is amused by her desires and attempts to intimidate her, a tactic that falls flat. He drops the act immediately as the two begin to have a rather civil, if not friendly, conversation about science, desires, and the simple joy of traveling around the world. It doesn't take long for her conviction, strength, and kindness to affect our count. He takes a liking to her and is more than happy to share his library with Lisa. Unfortunately, the church does not agree with this. 1 year later, we discover that Wallachia's bishop has ordered Lisa to be executed at the stake. The bishop does not care for the idea of educating the public, believing that the church rather keeps everyone simple and easy to control. He has her burned alive, claiming her to be a witch. It is at this time we discover that Lisa and Dracula have been married, and that Dracula has been actually living the life of a mortal, with Lisa at his side. He has been out of the country, and upon returning home learns the fate of his wife. He gives up the charade of living as man does and vows vengeance. He appears to Wallachia and gives them a warning. In 1 year he shall return and completely decimate their city. After proclaiming this, we find out that Dracula has returned to his castle, where an unnamed person pleads with him not to go through with this promise. Dracula silences the man with a quick swipe of his claws. Wallachia, 1 year later. The Archbishop foolishly proclaims Dracula's threat to be a hoax. As he gives his speech, however, the sky begins to rain blood. Dracula returns and mocks them for their hubris. He sends an army of gargoyles into the city, and in a gruesome display we watch as the people of Wallachia are slaughtered. Dracula vows to end all mankind, claiming they took from him the one thing he has ever loved, and as such he will take from them everything. The episode ends at a tavern where two locals are having a very detailed discussion of interspecies sex between a man and a goat. When they are warned that Dracula's forces are nearby, one of the men go into a rant about the Belmont clan and how worthless they are. We cut to Trevor Belmont, who is also in the tavern. He tries to hide his face as if worried of being caught, and we cut to the credits. The first episode of Castlevania had quite a burden on its shoulders. Video game fans across the world are some of the most difficult to please when it comes to adapting a video game franchise into a movie or TV series. Most of the films have been hit or miss, whereas the television shows have been seen as relics from the 90s. So for Castlevania to break out of its mold, it has started us off with a bang. And what a bang it was! From the very start of the episode, we know that this is not going to be some cheesy, slapped-together anime with pop culture references and goofy facial expressions. The moment that knife bursts out of the bat's back, we know we are in for some serious, adult-orientated episodes. The interaction between Dracula and Lisa was borderline adorable. I love how he constantly tries to insult her or intimidate her, only for her to stand her ground. This also shows that Dracula is not some mindless monster, but a rational, intelligent being. The moment he sees that she is not afraid of him, he drops the act and talks to her on a level ground. I love this because we all know he could simply just tear her apart the moment she stepped into his castle. But he doesn't. He rather attempt to scare her away than actually attack her, which leads me to assume that he has done the same sort of thing before. So right away we see that Dracula isn't some cold-hearted killing machine. I also enjoy how quickly he becomes charmed by her. Her resolve, sarcastic wit, and desire to help mankind are all things that Dracula is obviously not accustomed to. He finds her charming and is almost immediately drawn to her, which makes Lisa's death that much more tragic. And I really cannot express how much I enjoy the fact that Dracula is a sympathetic villain. We never really get to know Dracula's personality in the original games, except that he's the end boss of Castlevania. Here we see he's not some monster who kills for fun, but a creature who wants to be left alone in peace and solitude. Personally, I find myself sympathizing with Dracula so far. I mean, the only person he has ever loved was taken from him, and as such, he'll do anything to avenge her death. I have no sympathy for the church or even the normal people right now. And speaking of revenge, let's talk about the gore. Now, I only showed a tiny bit of it, but trust me, there is a lot. I'm talking about people getting their bodies ripped in half, intestines flying across the screen, and even the death of babies and children. It is gruesome, it is violent, and it is fantastic. Because to me, Castlevania has always been a very dark franchise. While the games are a tribute to classic horror monsters, the overall theme has always been about that darkness. So it makes me happy to see a very hard rating for this show. We're not being given a PG, family-friendly Super Mario Bros. Super Show style of anime. No! We're giving a hardcore, kick-to-the-balls violence, and I love every minute of it. It really drives the point home of just how angry Dracula is and how vicious he can become. Now onto the animation. It's good. Not great, but not terrible. There are some strange moments where the characters' mouths or movements seem very jerky, but they are few and far between. The detail on the landscapes and backgrounds, however, are simply beautiful and really help build the atmosphere of this universe. The voice acting is spot on, and I'm personally in love with Dracula's voice. I could listen to him talk for hours, and I like the differences of tone he conveys. In the beginning, when he drops the intimidation act and speaks like a normal man, he's actually quite charming and pleasant to listen to. But boy, when he gets angry, you can feel the hatred resonating deep within his bones. It's a great contrast. So far, Castlevania has started off wonderfully. It establishes the Dracula character, as well as providing us with a bigger threat, the church itself. This shows that the series will not be as black and white as the game it is based upon. It also doesn't try to protect our sensibilities, using gore and language to appropriately showcase the world we are being introduced to. And above all else, it gives reason to why everything is happening. If this is how the first episode starts us off, I cannot wait to see what comes next. So what did you think of episode 1, WitchBottle? Please share your comments below. Thank you for joining me. I am Mazer, and I will see you next time. Hey everyone, Mazer here, and I just want to thank you for watching my video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Your support means the world to me.